Three. Hello, my name is Joey Remp, and today I'm going to be going over my final project for data collection, verification, transformation, and analysis. For this assignment, we were tasked with taking a raw set of data. The data that I decided to choose was the top 200 games sold of all time. And in this data set, we had the rank, which was kind of the ID number in a sense, the game itself, what platform it was released on, what year it came out, its genre, its publisher, and the global sales in millions, so 82.74 million. With this, we were able to set up a star schema. The fact table would simply be different IDs, so fact, game, console, publisher, genre, as well as the sales, and I defined it as millions on the fact table. Connecting to all those are the game list, which is it'll have the game ID in there, which will be fed into the fact table, and that would give us the game name and release year. The console ID also being fed into the fact table would be console name and release year. Publisher list, which would just be the publisher being fed into there, and the genre ID just being the genre. I have those relationships defined down below if you were reading that as I was talking, but I mean, it's really what I just said. Fact table connects to game list, console list, publisher list, and genre list through foreign keys, and the game list provides details about each game, console list provides details about the consoles, genre type provides details of the game genres, and the publisher provides details on the publisher of the games. So with that, we were able to set up a database schema, which is essentially just creating 5 different tables, the fact table and the 4 dimension tables. Here is the code for that. I just kind of included this to show that it got done, and that each of the sets, I guess you can call them, were defined by their proper variable. So the game ID would be an int or integer, game name a variable character. I put down 255 because there's not really anything that would go past that. Release year, another integer, and we also have like console year as integer, the names. And if we scroll down, whoops, too far, we got to the sales in millions that I talked about, and that's also an integer with the fact table or the fact ID also being the primary key of this and the integer. And here's the code where it references the foreign keys. So with that fact table, we are able to make this large graph or table, and that would be the fact ID to define each game, the game ID to get us the name and the year, console ID for console and year, the genre for the genre, publisher for the publisher, and then there are the sales, again in millions. So this does look a little confusing when you first look at it, just because it looks, I mean, there's not really any information, quote unquote, there. But if we look through our dimension tables, we have, so the game ID is just the game ID, and that's what will connect to our fact table. And we have all the names and what year the games came out. Console ID is the same thing. Obviously with the games, we have 200 different games because that's the list of them. But with the console, genre, and publisher, we wouldn't have too many different pieces of information. So with consoles, we only have 21 different consoles, and then the consoles' separate release years. Genre type, we only had 12. And publisher, we had about 23. So with this, we were able to create these 4 different tables and load each of them in to the data warehouse through MySQL into their respective tables. And then just to make sure it worked, we queried them and made sure that the information was all there. And after we did all of that, we queried the fact table itself, and that also has all of its information. So going through this, we were so that's obviously the transforming all the information as we went from this to 5 separate tables, and then loading it in properly. The last thing we have to do as defined in the last part of this class, is to analyze it. So through the analysis, I made 3 different circle graphs, or pie charts, I'm sorry, that I included 2 of them because the third one I'll go over. But the big thing is that Nintendo was 52% of these games that were sold, which is crazy that they had more than 100. And the only people that came close are Activision, Sony, Take-Two Interactive, and Microsoft. And Activision's the only one that got to double digits with 10%. So the fact that Nintendo had such a big piece of this all was actually pretty shocking, and I found that very interesting. Another thing I included that I found very interesting were the different genres. I really wasn't expecting them to be pretty evenly spread. I was expecting it to be more of like platform and shooter than anything, but it looks like those two actually tied at 16.5, and role-playing, sports, and then some miscellaneous ones. Like miscellaneous itself was 7.9, racing was 9.1. It was kind of evenly spread, aside from like puzzle, fighting, and then these two I think are, hold on, yeah, adventure and strategy. They like are maybe like 1 or 2 different inputs in there. So they didn't really show up as much. But like I said, I found it shocking that a lot of these kind of stayed close to each other, within like 5% of one another. And then the other pie chart I created was the year. So the year in which all these games were sold. I thought that we would have a more collective, like as you can see, 2006 got almost 10%, and so did 2009. But everything just seemed a little too unique to be making this relevant. As to, I mean, even when we open up the game list, I mean, a lot of these years, like, they don't really repeat as often as I thought they did. So I included it just so that I can talk about it, but I didn't really think it was necessary to put in the assignment itself, as it wasn't really relevant information. But yeah, this is my assignment. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.